Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football Tuesday afternoon. Dabo Swinney, the Clemson Tigers, they land another one. Four-star safety Kaden Gebhardt committing to Clemson in the 2026 class. For those who are keeping count at home, that is 7 commitments in the last 5 days. Another thing I'll note about this one, Dabo Swinney, the Clemson Tigers, going up to the state of Ohio and absolutely taking it to Ryan Day in the Ohio State Buckeyes. I mean, they are a couple of top prospects in the state of Ohio that are taking their talents to Clemson. Now you get into Kaden Gebhardt. We are going to say the exact same things that we said about Wade Woodaz a couple of years ago when he committed to Clemson. I mean, Wade Woodaz and Kaden Gebhardt, you turn on the film and it's almost identical in terms of how these guys approach the sport of football. It's almost identical, the physical traits that they bring to the table, and very similar to how we talked about Wade Woodaz. We're probably going to talk about Kaden Gebhardt as a guy that at 6'2", 200 pounds going into his senior year, there's a very real chance that he spins down and plays off-ball linebacker for Clemson just because of where the sport is going. Where you look at modern day football, you need your linebackers to be athletic in space. I'm always a massive fan of guys that played safety, put on weight, moved to off-ball linebacker because they're really good in space. They're really good in coverage. They can go sideline to sideline and make plays. All of the things we love about Wade Woodaz playing off-ball linebacker for Clemson, Kaden Gebhardt brings very similar traits. And if I were to just put one word to Kaden Gebhardt, he's a striker. I mean, this is a guy that he plays safety at the high school ranks, consistently fires down into the tackle box, and absolutely lays the wood. Extremely physically imposing, off-ball defender, safety, back-end defender that is very comfortable coming into the tackle box and being physical. All of those things that it kind of drive me to say I wouldn't be surprised if we see him spin down and play linebacker for Clemson during the next couple of years. Want to get a little bit into the film, talk about where Clemson is going on the recruiting trail before we get into it. As always, to the Clemson fans who've been rocking with the fellas for the last couple of days, it's been busy. It's been an absolute blast. Cannot thank you guys enough for all the support. And from what it sounds like, we got some more commitments coming. And so we'll break them down as they continue to come in. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into Kaden Gebhardt. I mean, 6'2", 200 pounds. Looks like a guy that's already put together at the high school ranks. Would not be surprised if there is still some more weight to be gained with Kaden Gebhardt. But the real reason I look at Kaden and say wouldn't be surprised if he plays off-ball linebacker is how comfortable he is coming up into the tackle box and playing extremely physical. I mean, that's if you want to make that transition from safety to linebacker, the physicality, it has to be there. And you turn on the film with Kaden Gebhardt and say that physicality comes in bunches on the film. And it's almost like he loves to fire downhill and get involved in the run game. Then you take a look at him in the back end and say, really comfortable in zone coverage. I mean, he can play that single high safety role, keep his eyes on the quarterback and go make plays on the football. There's some back end speed in his ability to cover a lot of distance quickly that I think is really intriguing as well. And you look at, modern day football in general, not just for off-ball linebackers, but really just for defenses in general. You got to have guys who are versatile and can do a lot of different things. Operate in space, deal with some of those bigger jumbo wide receivers in man coverage. Kaden Gebhardt has the athleticism. He has the size to do all of those things. And you get into the film, the film, it's freaky how much it reminds you of some of the stuff we talked about with Wade Woodaz. You fire it in and say, one, he's a hunter. He's a hunter and he's a striker. Those were the two words that came to my mind as you get into his film. He comes down and he wants to be physical, coming downhill and fitting the run. And you continue to work through the film and say, you see a ton of things where he's just following the football, covering a ton of ground. And when it is time to be physical at the point of attack, this kid, it's all over his film. Then you see him as a back end. Look, he's athletic enough and has the feel and range to play safety. This is elite. When you're talking about the instincts and going see ball, get ball, and going and forcing turnovers, he can do that. Again, sideline to sideline speed, closing the distance between the ball carrier and himself, and not only closing the distance, but being physically imposing when you get there. I mean, that is what Kaden Gebhardt brings to this Clemson defense. Again, coming up into the tackle box, we are picking through traffic and we are closing the distance and making a play. Probably my favorite commitment. And that's saying something because I was a big fan of Naheem Burrows. That's saying something with Kaden Gebhardt because all over the film is just him being a difference maker, a playmaker, a guy that can do so many different things in a defense. And I think one of the things that's probably worth noting is Tom Allen is known for taking these guys that can do so many different things and finding the best ways to put them and kind of fit them on a defense. That could be as a box safety. That could be as an off-ball linebacker. It could be just as a traditional safety as well. This is a guy that can do a ton of different things for you on the defensive side of the football, and it's a perfect fit. But this is back-to-back plays where he just owns those seam routes. You don't want to throw to the middle of the field with Kaden Gebhardt back there because you're putting your wide receivers in some serious danger. He commands that middle of the field. He's the enforcer in the middle of that field. And again, he's got great feel for reading the quarterback's eyes and zone coverage and just breaking on the football. That's what I love because you need if he does spin down to play linebacker, you need your linebackers comfortable dropping back in coverage. Again, working through traffic, sideline to sideline, stringing out plays. Whether he's a safety, whether he's a linebacker, this is a guy that you want to go bet on, right? 6'2", 200 plus pounds, extremely physical at the point of attack. Love how he works through traffic. Again, if he does end up playing off-ball linebacker like Wade Wood has, look at him work through all this trash and then go make a play. And he's so comfortable tackling too. I mean, it's a lot of discipline wrapping up and making plays and bringing ball carriers to the ground. Getting out in space, again, that's how you want it. That's how you want it to look. Clemson in 2026. I mean, we were previewing the recruiting weekend, let's see, Friday afternoon, and these commitments are coming in so fast, it's kind of hard to keep track of them. We were previewing the commitments or the visit weekend Friday afternoon, and Clemson was sitting, I believe, outside of the top 30 with only 4 commitments or 5 commitments. And then you fast forward to where we are now. We got 12 in the boat, most of them blue chip. We're looking at a top 3 class, and it's got some sticking power. Clemson, this is how Clemson operates on the recruiting trail. We know this is when they like to turn it up. But a lot of these guys, and it doesn't, I guess what I should say is Clemson's in a good spot right now with 12 commitments. You got a couple blue chip offensive linemen. It doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. And then a couple of weeks, we're going to have that massive official visit weekend, I believe late May, early June, where you're probably going to see another run on these commitments. It's a fun time to be a Clemson fan on the recruiting trail. We'll continue to break down the commitments as they come in to the Clemson fans who've been rocking with the fellas for the last couple of days and weeks. Appreciate you guys. Vibes are high on the recruiting trail. Vibes are high going into 2025. For the people who thought Clemson was dead, y'all better think again. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later.